Good morning and welcome to day 8, I think, of August vlogs. I've not done my hair this morning. We've got a busy but quite nice few days now. I'm not going to be working for the next few days. It's Friday today. And in fact, I'm probably not going to be working until Wednesday, actually, thinking about it. It's quite nice. So today we are meeting up with some of Arthur's school friends at a local park, Monarchy Park, which is a really big kind of reservoir, and there's lots of kind of parkland and stuff around there. A couple of people suggested it as a kind of just before they go back to school next week, it would be nice to get some of the kids together so that they can catch up and hopefully ease the anxiety about going back to school slightly. So that is our plan today. I am just about to make a picnic to take with us. And then tomorrow we've actually got a birthday party to go to. One of Arthur's friends from school is having a small kind of birthday party. We're having a picnic at a local playground as a bit of a birthday party. So outdoors, not a big crowd of people, but you know, it's a good way of doing it, I think, isn't it? So we're doing that on Saturday. And then Sunday we are meeting up with a lovely friend who's also a yarn dyer, Erin, who's the dyer behind Henny Penny Makes. We are meeting up with her for a picnic on the beach, which will be really, really nice as well. Hopefully the weather will hold up. It's absolutely beautiful again today, so hopefully we'll have a weekend of it. So yeah, nice few days with no work for any of us either. But right, I need to get on with making this picnic. We are back from the park. I didn't get a lot of footage at the park because I was too busy chatting to the other mums and keeping an eye on the kids. So unfortunately I didn't get a lot of footage, but oh well. Arthur and Tom and Jasper are all downstairs having a little bit of chill out time. Arthur needs a little bit of a break. He is really upset about his haircut. He was quite happy. You know, we said we were having a haircut and he was quite happy about it. He really needed a haircut. His long hair was really starting to annoy him. But then we got home from the hairdressers and he just burst into tears because he was really upset that he'd lost his long hair and he wanted his crazy hair back again. So I think anxiety about starting school and all of that kind of thing is just, yeah, I think that's what it is. All of that just overwhelming him slightly at the moment. So he is having a bit of a quiet afternoon, a little bit of chill out time. So I thought I would talk about some books. Back in the beginning of December, I made a kind of commitment to myself to read more because I used to read so much. And then since having Jasper, I just haven't had the time. I haven't found the time to read as much. And I've really missed it. So back in, as I said, at the beginning of December, I decided that what I would do is I would commit to myself that every night I would try and read one chapter of my book. And I've kind of stuck to it. I've had the odd night here and there where I've not made a full chapter or I've not read because we've gone to bed really late or something like that. But the majority of the time I've really, really stuck to that and I've been really enjoying it. And it's been really nice to kind of get through more books. And I also kind of made a thing with myself this year that I wasn't just going to buy loads and loads of books, because that used to be a really bad habit of mine, was that I would just buy loads of books and then I'd have a shelf full of books that I hadn't read yet and I'd never know which book to read and all of this kind of thing. So I've been reading a book and then buying a new one when I finished. However, I did get a couple of books for my birthday, so I have now got 2 books. Well, I've got one book that's unread and one book that I'm currently reading. But anyway, I was going to share a few books with you. I've got 4 books that I've picked out, 2 of which I've read recently, one I'm currently reading, and one that Tom got me for my birthday, which is kind of on my next to read list. So this is the first book, and this is a book that I have finished. I read this recently. It's the not the last book I finished, the one before that. And you know what? I really, really enjoyed this. I'd picked it up at the supermarket because I'd seen something about it being recommended, and I can't remember where I'd had it recommended to me. But from the cover and from the blurb, it just doesn't give away the story at all. It is such an amazing story. It turns into an absolutely beautiful love story, which you don't expect. But it says, Emmett Farmer is a binder's apprentice. His job is to handcraft beautiful books, and within each to capture something unique and extraordinary, a memory. If you have something you want to forget or a secret to hide, he can bind it, and you will never have to remember the pain it caused. In a vault under his mentor's workshop, row upon row of books and secrets are meticulously stored and recorded. Then, one day, Emmett makes an astonishing discovery. One of the volumes has his name on it. And you know what? That doesn't give anything away. I mean, that drew me in anyway. That sounded fascinating, but it really doesn't give anything away. It was absolutely fantastic. And as it says at the top there, fascinating, evokes the atmosphere of Sarah Waters' books with a nod to Philip Pullman, a book you'll want to lose yourself to for hours on end. And I'd agree with that, actually. It was really good. I mean, I don't want to say too much about it because obviously I don't want to give away the story or give away secrets or anything like that. But, you know, when you get one of those books that you just do not want the book to end, this was one of them for me. I got to the end of it and, yeah, I really, really could have read another 40 chapters and still been really happy. So, yeah, I would recommend that one. And then the second book I finished, this is the last book I finished, and that is The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. And again, well, I couldn't say that I enjoyed this book to some extent. I did enjoy it, but enjoy is the wrong word because obviously it's not a light-hearted book. But it was amazing. It was an absolutely amazing book, and I'd recommend it. It's a fictional book. So it takes a fictional spin on the idea of the Underground Railroad and kind of the history of the Underground Railroad, but it puts it in a literal sense. So the book, there's a literal Underground Railroad in the book. But it follows the story of Cora, who is a slave on a cotton plantation, as it says. I'll just read it, shall I? Cora is a slave on a cotton plantation in Georgia, an existence made ever more hellish by her status as an outcast among her fellow Africans. And she is approaching womanhood, where greater pain and danger awaits. So when Caesar, a slave recently arrived from Virginia, tells her about the Underground Railroad, Cora takes the momentous decision to accompany him on his escape to the north. In this razor-sharp novel, the Underground Railroad has assumed a physical form, a dilapidated boxcar pulled by a steam locomotive, picking up fugitives wherever it can. Thus begins Cora's perilous journey, as she is pursued by a ruthless slave catcher named Ridgway, obsessed both with Cora and her mother, who eluded him for years before. It was brilliant. It was a great story. There are obviously some really harrowing moments in it, and there are some really difficult topics in it. But I would recommend it. It was really good. Definitely worth the prize it received, the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction. Again, another one I would recommend. And then as for what I'm currently reading, a bit different. This is what I'm currently reading, The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. Tom got me this for my birthday, this book and the other one as well. And this is kind of a Victorian Gothic horror, so completely different. I am that far through it, so not massively far through it. I'm just starting to get into the grips of it. But again, I'll read the back for you. Newly married, newly widowed Elsie is sent to see out her pregnancy at her late husband's crumbling country estate, The Bridge. With her new servants resentful and the local villagers actively hostile, Elsie only has her husband's awkward cousin for company, or so she thinks. For inside her new home lies a mysterious wooden figure, a silent companion that bears an unsettling resemblance to Elsie herself. And do you know what? It is so creepy. It really, really is. I have a feeling there is going to come a point in this book where I am going to struggle to read it before going to bed. It builds up the creepiness so well. And I mean, I struggle sometimes with books where I have to visualize a lot. But what this does really well is it really does kind of set the scene and make you feel like you are there. So yeah, I'd really recommend it. If I finish it before the end of August, I will let you know my full thoughts on it. But so far, it is living up to the kind of dark and creepy reviews on the front. Yeah. And then the final one, I've not read it yet, so I can't give you a review as such. But this is the other book that Tom got me for my birthday, and that's Girl, Woman, Other. I've seen this around a lot, and a lot of people had mentioned it. Again, it's a fiction book, so it's based on the lives of multiple women. Okay, this is Britain as you've never read it. This is Britain as it's never been told. From the top of the country to the bottom, across more than a century of change and growth and struggle and life, Girl, Woman, Other follows 12 very different characters on an entwined journey of discovery. It is future, it is past, it is fiction, it is history. It's a novel about who we are now. And it's had amazing reviews. And I'm really looking forward to getting into it. I started looking at the first chapter, and it was so interestingly written because it has really bizarre punctuation. They kind of start new lines to give you kind of a feel of a different kind of speech. And I don't even know, it's almost like reading a long poem to some extent. I don't think it's like this all the way through. I think it's just this chapter and following this one particular person. But I found it really interesting the way that it's been written. But yeah, I'm looking forward to trying that one. And while we're talking books, this is another book that I got for my birthday from my lovely friend Kathy. And that is the Lane 52 Weeks of Socks book. I'm sure many of you will have heard about this book. It's been around, I think, since the beginning of the year, hasn't it? But yeah, I have been watching her make her socks from this book and just been fascinated by them. And there are so many amazing patterns in here. I'm looking forward to trying some out. As an avid sock knitter, as many of you will know, I do love to knit a sock. So I can't wait to try some of these out. There's a really interesting mix of patterns. There's a mix of different weights as well. There's some DK socks in here. There's some heavier socks in here. There's some light socks in here. There's all kinds of different sock patterns. There's a few that I'd look at and go, I probably wouldn't try that because it's colour work or it's a much heavier weight or something like that. And then there's also a lot that I think to myself, oh, I really want those. And in fact, this is one of those pairs. Branches by Amanda Jones. This is one of those pairs that I look at and I think to myself, oh, I really want those socks. But yeah, there's so many sock patterns in here. Has anyone got this book? Have you tried any of the patterns? What are your thoughts? Let me know.